All right, scoreboard for war number 4. I know that anybody watching this is probably done with war number 5, so we're a little bit late on this one. Sometimes I don't receive all the information necessary, right after the war. So, but I do want to continue posting these just so you guys can kind of see the progression of all these alliances and how the scoreboard shakes out and stuff like that. So anyway, let's get into it. GT40, the #1 war alliance, with another 1-death performance. Against JA, a top 5 alliance, good alliance, only 6 deaths, but they got creamed by GT40. So TCN, who kind of oddly moved up several spots after last war, jumped up to number 2 overall, and they lose. So they died 8 times. Legion only died 6 times. An interesting little tidbit here. TCN only placed 145 defenders. So there's some rumors going along. I'm not going to speculate on that or give much attention to that, but it is interesting that they had one person not placing any defenders. So they lose. DSVG, another good war, 5-6. XK9, man, 6 deaths is pretty strong, but DSVG. They just keep rolling. They're 4-0. They're one of 3 4-0 alliances after this war, and they are going to make the jump up to number 2 overall after TSN's loss. Noon, with only 1 death. Impressive there. Matrix, only 5 deaths. They beat the previously unbeaten SSX. And Sweeta's alliance, they, only died 7 times. Good for them. LVT, we lost 8-7 to X5E and had a little banter with somebody in X5E in the comment section of the previous video. But look, ultimately you win, you keep winning, and the algorithm will work itself out. I did make one adjustment to the algorithm after this past war, which I'll talk about when we get into the rankings. But yeah, good job to X5E. They're now 3-1 on the season, and they have beaten some pretty strong alliances. So they deserve some recognition there. Good for those guys. For Loki, they did drop last week, a few spots down to number 13, but they have a decent war, 8 deaths, and they beat SAS. And then the other unbeaten alliance going into this war, 3-0 in the top 25, is GGIR. And I know these guys are going to hate this, but they kind of got lucky again. So they win a war 15-15. The other alliance, their opponent, actually had them beat on time. However, they won because the opponent only cleared 149 fights. They accidentally left a fight up. So, hey, good for you. Luck does not mean that you're bad. So don't take it personally, guys. But continue the fortune throughout the season. I'm certainly rooting for you to keep stacking up those wins. All right, let's get into the rank updates. GT40 stays the same. DSVG moves up 1 spot. They're 2nd in efficiency and now top 10 in strength of schedule. Noon moves up 2 spots from 5 to 3. They're 3-1. They're 4th in efficiency and 4th in strength of schedule. JA stays at 4 despite losing, and it's basically because they still don't die very much. They're 3rd in efficiency, and with their match against GT40, despite the loss, they improved to 1st in strength of schedule. So collectively, they have faced the toughest alliances through 4 wars. Matrix moves up a spot. They're 3-1, 6th in efficiency, 3rd in strength of schedule. TCN drops 4 spots. Still 5th in efficiency and 5th in strength of schedule. Sweeta's alliance, they're 3-1. They stay the same. SSX loses but stays the same. XK9 moves up from 10 to 9, and Legion moves up from 14 to 10th. They're 3-1. They do have a tough strength of schedule, but they've died quite a bit. They're 17th in efficiency. So, right now matchmaking has mostly been on their side, despite this last war they did have a good, strong clear. All right, and then X5E. So they beat 4 Loki a couple wars ago. They just beat us, so they move up 4 spots ahead of us, as they should. They're 3-1 on the season. They still are 14th in efficiency, so they've died more times than we have. And they do have a negative margin of victory or a negative death differential, which doesn't help them. But that is actually the change that I made. So after beating us in the last 3 wars, they have been really strong. I think that they've died in single digits each of the last 3. They just had a really bad War 1 where they died over 20 times, and that kind of screwed up the algorithm a little bit. And before I made the change, they actually only moved up 1 spot, so they were still behind us, LBT, whom they just beat, and so I had to take it with a little bit. So everything with the algorithm has stayed the same, but I have essentially cut the value of margin of victory or death differential, the value that produces for the total war score has been reduced by 50%. And with that reduction, the algorithm obviously likes X5E a lot more because, the other categories like strength of schedule, wins, and all that stuff, those kind of are elevated because that one category is sliced in half. But anyway, they're 3-1. They're definitely a strong alliance. We drop, of course, from 9th to 12th. We're 2-2 now. We are still top 10 in efficiency, so we've done a decent job not dying a bunch. Our strength of schedule, hasn't really helped. Our first war loss to SAS has kind of proven to be a pretty ugly loss. They've struggled this season. So we just got to pick ourselves up a little bit. But SGA, they made the biggest move this week. They're up 8 spots. That is strongly helped by the algorithm adjustment. But they are 3-1, 13th in efficiency, and then barely squeaking in the top 25 in strength of schedule. All right, and then GGIR, they are 4-0, so good for those guys. They do move up 3 spots from 18th to 15th. But currently, and again, if you're in GGIR, just really any alliance that is looking at this and, ready to take offense, just keep in mind that it's not personal. It is math. That's it. I just created the algorithm. I don't have any manual input on where alliances end up. But the bottom line is, out of about 35 alliances that are part of this algorithm or this spreadsheet, they've died the 21st. They're 21st in deaths, so they've died quite a bit. Their strength of schedule is they barely get points, so they get the last spot before there's no bonus added for strength of schedule. And we just discussed on the scoreboard how they they got really, really fortunate with their with their War 4 opponent. Had that alliance finished 150 fights instead of leaving one up, they would have won the tiebreaker on time. So look, it's sometimes better to be lucky than good, as they say. But you can be both. You can be good and lucky. Time will tell with GGIR. They just got to keep winning. If they keep winning, they're going to keep rising in this spreadsheet. Obviously, the war leaderboard in game is really thinks that they're awesome because they haven't lost. And then another kind of weird one, man. For Loki, they did win. They improved from 1-2 to 2-2, but they dropped 4 spots. Part of that was also the algorithm adjustment. But they're 12th in efficiency and 14th in strength of schedule. So they're a decent alliance right now. And then Salty, PBT, and MIBR. So anyway, guys, that is it. This one's a little bit longer, just some extra goodness to explain. But leave a like and a comment. If you're in one of these alliances and you disagree with something, let me know. I'm going to argue with you, as some of you guys know. But it is kind of fun to engage with you guys. So that is it, and I'll see you in the next video.